Uptown TV this, with the maddest and the baddest review now miss. Need some self-time, so we need it. Looking how we are the realest. Bruh, for one being representing a man for Uptown TV. You understand?
You know, and it took me a while because I can remember the different times we met and so on. But then I had to kind of just walk back and walk forward. And greetings.
Blessed morning, greetings.
Morning. How you do?
Me do good, you know.
Look at you.
I give it praises, you know, that's good.
You're welcome.
Yes, and I'm happy to be here with you, you know. I'm
telling you.
Aye.
Do you remember when we met up physically up in the mountains in Italy? You remember that?
Boy, that's a long time.
1991, I think it was.
Man,
way up in the mountains.
Yes, I remember.
Way up in the mountains, Papa Kervin.
That is a long time, you know.
Yes, a 30.
And that was the beginning of this big reggae festival that is now in Spain, you know that?
Which one that?
The one they call, what they call that big one in Spain?
The one that used to be, no man, it's not the beginning of Rotterdam. It was the beginning?
Oh, it was the beginning of Rotterdam.
I had no idea.
Yes, Rotterdam was in Italy, you know.
I know because I went to Rotterdam in Italy.
In that mountain region, you know.
In Osopo, and that was like in, that was like in 2000 when they actually had a massive festival there.
The beginning of that festival was in that mountain.
Thank you for telling me because I did not know that was the seeds of that festival.
The seeds,
Planted
of Luciano. That's the name of the guy who did that.
Papa Kevin, this is the best. I remember up in those mountains in 91 when you touched me on my shoulder. And when I looked around and you said, this is Jamaica, Papa Kevin, I nearly faint because
dropped down.
Because I was playing your music here in Jamaica. And then to buck you up in the mountains of all places. But you were, I want to start, we can't start at the beginning, but we'll try.
We'll start somewhere.
We'll start somewhere. Mm-hmm. Because you've been in this business for a while.
My whole life.
Oh, your entire life?
Yes.
And so let us start there.
Yes.
I want to make a point before we go, because I played Born Girl in the Ring. And I played By the Rivers of Babylon.
Bonnie M.
Mm-hmm. Right, there's a reason why I did that.
Yeah.
Our listeners, not for we listeners, they don't know yet.
True.
Tell me why, Papa.
Yes, because I'm the one who introduced that song, those two songs to Frank Farian. Mm-hmm. And I played with Bonnie M for many years as a drummer.
Yes. So were you on these songs also?
Yes.
Right. And the thing about it is that we're going to come and talk some more about it because at the end of the day, I know there was some issues.
Mix up.
Yeah, there. But you were with Bonnie M.
Yes. And I was with Liz Mitchell before Bonnie M. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We had a group named Malcolm's Locks in Hamburg.
Yes.
And Liz was the backup singer. Mm-hmm. So at the time when Bonnie M started, they were looking for singers, Frank Farian.
Yes.
So things wasn't going so good with us. So we said, Liz, go and check it out. Mm-hmm. And if things were good, you just pull us in.
Callway, yes. And she did.
Yes, she did.
Yes. And By the Rivers of Babylon and Brown Girl in the Ring. We know set her to be a Jamaican that put that.
Jamaican.
There's no two ways about it. And I don't know how this man come to claim authorship of a song that.
Hey man, a thief is a thief, you know.
Oh, we're going to come forward to it because that is. I think we need to retry that case. That case needs to go back to the court. Something right.
Listen, that case go through court in Germany. You know, it goes from the low court up to the high court because we were telling him he cannot claim that song.
He can't claim authorship.
And it goes down back and it goes up to the high court. It goes on about 20 years of court trial, you know.
And he won?
And in the end, well, he won. They gave it to him because how you gonna get your rights in the country of another man? And he had so much money, power. He came with lawyers, a whole room of lawyers, and all music people who's telling how the song arranged, and it only has to do with arrangement, but not so composers.
But so many of us could have been in the court to say, but this is a song we play, Dandy Shandy, Bound Girl.
I bring songs. I bring songs before, because I tell you something. I and Liz and Malcolm in the group before, we record those songs on an album. We had it.
Pre-record. All right, before his time. But we're going to come back, because that's that's an issue that came out of, these two songs we just played. We Love Boney M. By the Rivers of Babylon is a song that was being sung at Nyabingis and in a lot, and even in churches.
True.
In churches.
True.
I think maybe church before Nyabingi.
True.
Me grew up
our culture.
Me grew up in a Pentecostal church. We used to sing this. How can we sing the Lord? Because it's not the Bible.
Yeah, man, our culture.
All right. So we're gonna come back to it in a while. So you started out early as a youth in Jamaica.
Yes.
It's almost like music was in your blood. This was
It's in my blood.
Yeah.
I started out with a group in Linston named Vulcans. And Vulcans, the singer Vulcans was Phyllis Dillon. And Roy Panton.
And that was your first group?
That was the first group that I sit and play drums for.
Phenomenal.
We rehearsed there.
Yes.
A lot of musicians passed on that was in that group, and some of them is still alive.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
It's.
But you couldn't have been more than a teenager then, though. At the time of Vulcans?
When with Vulcans, I started playing music from 16, you know. From the age of 16. I leave Jamaica at the age of 22.
Mm-hmm. What year was that?
1965.
That was before I was born.
Before many people.
Where you go? Where did you go in 65?
65, I went on a tour to Germany and played in Hanover for an exhibition for the Volkswagen Bug, the 65, 67 Bug.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how did you get, did you travel by you travel by boat, by ship?
We travel by ship, of course. The ship did name Prince the Netherlands. And it take us from Jamaica, we go over Barbados, Trinidad, all of those way. It's a ship that pick up spices and people.
Wow.
And take to Holland.
No, you're going to have to write a book about all of this.
Lord, I tell you.
You have to write a book. Because a ship that pick up spices and people.
Yeah. And on that ship there was English, Papelmento, type of Spanish.
Yes.
And some Spanish speaking, all the dialects you think about that place go. You pick up people and there was a big room where we all meet, and you know the Jamaican talking and the Trinidadian talking and the Papelmento people them talk. It was a joy.
And I'm sure pimento was on it too.
Huh?
You know, in addition to the papimento where people were talking, there was the pimento spice.
Yeah, and the Holland dialect.
And
is that one called Papelmento?
I don't have a clue.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go check.
You know, I used to
exactly. No, but this is pretty interesting because you're talking about 1965.
65.
That I can just imagine what was happening, and you're heading for
Germany.
For Germany.
Yeah.
But the wall never come down yet.
The war was just finished.
Right.
When we went to Germany, you know, people was running away from black people, you know, when them see them, you know. When we were like teachers, we were like angels that traveled through and teaching people about our culture. Because that time we were playing in a lot of calypso and the folk music things, you know.
Yes.
So when people see you there, young people would scream out, "Mommy, mommy, look there, what is that? What is that?"
That is black people.
Yeah, man, them never educated towards we.
You're talking.
We were like, I don't know, something that they should be afraid of. But we paved the way and showed them that we are the one you should love because we are loving you. And don't matter what go on. We are one nation here and uno no better than we.
And I can just imagine because Germany now, in terms of reggae music, it's almost like they want, if we're not careful and take it far away. This is where we are now with Germany.
But of course.
But you would have been a pioneer.
Yes, I am.
In introducing,
of course,
Jamaican music and reggae music.
Yes.
To the space. Talk to us about that. What was it like? How did you?
I tell you, I have a record shop in Hamburg at that time, selling only Jamaican reggae music and ska music.
So, you come off of the ship and just have a record shop?
No. That was long after because I come off of the ship. I did the tour. Go to the whole thing, come back to Jamaica and get in touch with some other musician that go back in that region. So we toured. The next one was going to Sweden, Denmark, Holland, France, and back to Germany.
But you were just a youth in your 20s. How did you? I mean, what made you decide to just go on the high seas?
You know, that is Jah who take me on those journey and present me to those people and those organizations.
And you were carrying the music and the culture.
I'm carrying the message, and it was deep down in me, even though maybe I didn't even know.
Yes.
Because when Jah call you, sometimes you don't know.
You got to move.
You have to move.
You got to move.
Yes, those times is the old life. You know, if you think about it, I'm 80 years old. I'm going to be 81 in September.
Well, you don't know you look like you're in your 60s. And our listeners, I mean, I'm going to take a picture and put it out so that, but the people know you because you're all over the place.
Yes, true.
But so you have managed to keep this youthful appearance.
Yes.
Time. There's a reason for that too.
Yes. The Most High is keeping me and giving him thanks every day for it. Yeah. And I'm eating good.
Yes.
You know, and drinks. You see me have my ginger and my turmeric tea.
I wonder what in there, ginger and turmeric.
Yeah, yes.
Papa Kevin, no matter the car, one cup for me, you know what?
Well, you know, I say, me think say you have one cup, you sit down somewhere, you know.
Oh, goodness. You telling me I have my thermos too, but not this morning. Yeah. I'm usually have my black mint tea, you know?
Yes, I'm grateful.
Right. But,
yeah, man, it's, I tell you, I have to write a book. You know, I've been starting it. And as a musician, sometimes you are lazy, and what you need somebody.
Yes.
To push you and to sit with you and talk with you and make the notes and things. Yes,
because we saw the book, that, Clyde Mackenzie assisted on there, the one that for our brethren. Goodness, give me a really good cussing off, you know. Anyway, we'll come back to it. Don't worry. Look at that. But I think it's that kind of a situation where there's a shadow writer.
Yeah.
There's a shadow writer.
Yeah.
All right, so let me go back to your journeys, because here you are on the high seas. You've in 65 taken a ship. You're really going on a tour.
Yes.
Of Europe. And so when that was finished, you returned to Jamaica. But then also, once you came back to Jamaica, you were the one that initiated that call, or you heard about it and said, okay.
I heard about it.
Okay.
I heard about they're looking for a drummer to go.
Sorry,
to
Copeland
Europe.
Forbes. The name just come back and I'm Copeland. Sorry, my bad. Mm-hmm. Yes, sorry. Yeah.
I heard about they're looking for a drummer to go to Europe.
Yes.
So I turned up at the rehearsal. They were checking out different musicians, and when I got there, I was late because I was coming from state to go to King. The bus runnings and taxi running is not like today.
So you're talking about the 60s still, or?
Yeah, I'm in the 60s still.
Mid-60s.
You know, around 67.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, I got late. Mm-hmm. And the only instrument that was in the room was, that didn't pack up, was the drums. Mm. So I said, all the guys said, oh, you're late, you can't. You know, so I sit on the drum and say, I'm going to play off my frustration.
Yes.
and start to play some solos and different things and get up and ready to go. Yeah. And a guy came and shouted and said, hey, you have the job, you have the job.
By just playing up, because he heard you and realized the genius.
He realized that I could do anything that he wants me to do.
Yeah. And so you had a job, and that job took you where?
Took me back to Europe. We went to England, we went to Germany, we went to Sweden, we went down to Austria. With that, I toured all over.
Were there any other Jamaican artists that you were seeing on the circuit while you were going through in the 60s?
Yes, there's a lot of Jamaican artists I met, but mostly not in the 60s. Mm-hmm. Like up in the 70s, in the 80s.
So who were some of those? Probably like a Jimmy Cliff?
Yeah, man, all of them. Jimmy Cliff. I played on many concerts too with all of them. Jimmy Cliff, and I met Bob Marley twice over in Germany because they come to my record shop. I met so many musicians, Marcia Griffiths, all of them.
So so at the time that you set up your record shop, what was the reggae scene like in Germany? Or in Europe, for that matter?
It was just growing, I might sell 5 records a week.
Wow.
Yeah. It was like a mission. It's like a hobby because the music is my profession. Yes. So I've been playing still, but the record shop is like a place we meet. Mm-hmm. And I tell you something further too. That record shop's become a studio and a record shop. Yes. So I had to build up something to record my songs and to help other musicians. Mm-hmm.
So you were recording your own albums, your own singles, and so on, and at the same time, other musicians were coming through.
Yes.
And so, who were some of the technical people there then? The engineers and the
engineers was like me, a friend of mine, who is like we self-taught everything, because the German engineer, they are running their things different from frequency point of view. You couldn't put too much bass because they said it's distorting. So we had to be teaching them also about how we mix bass in Jamaica, Right. And this was one of the hardest. It was like breaking rocks, if you have when you mix a rough mix and you call in somebody like a German engineer who knows the fine touch of all these things and want him to help you, it's like you're wasting your time because it's better you try to do it yourself because it's not going to work. And you can hear it also on the records them as time goes by, and my records them too, that it's not a Jamaican thing.
Because they weren't in favor, or they didn't think that the bass line was
too
music.
Deep. Frequency of the bass too deep.
Then frequency, they were vibrating on a different frequency.
Yeah, you have to go and record that again, it's too much, it's too deep, and
But reggae music was a drum and bass.
Don't know that, but them don't know it. Them don't know it.
So you said that was a fight for you to get the bass line.
Yes. For them to understand and even the record companies. So I started to print my whole records myself, and sell them in my shop and sell them when I'm doing my shows. If I'm not doing tours and I'm doing at those time a show on the weekend here and a show there, I'm selling my records also. So that's how
So you were pretty busy in terms of ensuring that your own career was on track. Plus you had the music, the record shop, and then trying to break into or to introduce the bass line into Europe.
The drum and bass into Europe, into that part of Europe. Yes. Because if you go to England, it's another thing again. Because in England, we have a lot of our people.
Yes.
And we have engineers there and all these things. But being in Germany, which is dealing in classic music, so the frequencies in that area is another type of thing.
And upon the Bach.
Yeah,
Beethoven,
it's high frequency. Them they up there so.
Yes, a different frequency. Yes. So over time, they began to embrace.
Over time, But shortly after a while, my record shop was selling so much records you can't believe it.
From 5 a week to.
Yeah, from 5 a week to 500 a week.
You know, have hand for sale.
You know, have hand to sell.
Yeah.
And you know what? It took me then away from the music at that time because I have to start to concentrate to get the records.
Yes.
So it took me for a while. And I have to give thanks to Brother Bob when he came the second time to Germany. And he came to my shop and he saw all the buttons, the Rasta, whole vibes and the T-shirts and so on. And he was going to France. And he said to me, why you not pack up your things them and travel with the eye?
Really?
So I rented one of those bus where you can sleep in.
Yes.
And I packed the whole thing.
Yes.
And I did 2 concerts. And I sold off everything I had in the bus on these 2 concerts.
And so you were with Bob at that time?
2 concerts.
2 concerts.
Yeah.
Where?
One in Holland and one in France.
Yes. And you're saying that this was a good decision.
It was the best decision for me. And I remember him say, you have to go back to the music, you know. So I didn't close the shop, but I left it over to somebody and go right back to the music.
Back to the music.
Yeah.
And so you've been recording your own music. You've been performing over the years. I know that one of the reasons why I know you so well as Jamaica Papa Kervin is that I met you first through your music, and we were playing your music here at IRFM. I was playing your music every day. What's interesting about it is that I can't remember if I was playing your music on cassette or on vinyl. Because you also had cassettes.
Yeah, man, those were the cassette times.
Yes, it was the times of cassette.
Yeah, man, bags of cassette, man, you're selling, you know, and vinyls.
Yes.
Yeah, there was no CD at those times.
No, CD coming later.
CD come much later. It was cassettes.
It was cassettes?
Yeah, man, I sell more cassette than vinyl because, you know, everybody have a cassette in their car.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of the younger ones not able to understand. They try to figure out how this thing really did work.
I still have a lot of cassettes, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting though, but this is for you. This is this vault of yours. Then,
yeah.
I think it's something that is a museum situation because there's so much. It's also a museum.
It is.
So Papa Kervin, it's 7 minutes after 7 o'clock. Let me ask a little bit then about that journey, because I know we talk about Germany at a time when even Germany itself was divisive.
Yeah.
When Germany was, when there was political tension. Yes. What was it like for you, as a Rastafari, as a black man, as a Jamaican man, in a space like that?
You see, the music is like a key that opens all doors. So at the time, I find myself traveling to the east, playing in the East Germany when the wall was there, and those concerts was also fantastic. Places full out because, you know, West group coming to the East, and it wasn't that negative at the beginning, but as time goes by, people, you see the negative people who don't like foreigners in general. But I don't make that be my problems, because sometimes they even come to your concerts and they want to disturb it. But I know that the Most High have the power to shut them up. So I just go on doing my thing and let them sing along with me.
In Germany, you're well known.
Yes, I
You're
am.
probably, well, I think in Germany, if you call your name, people just respond.
Yeah.
And in many places in Europe.
In many places, yeah.
In Jamaica, not so. Not so much.
No.
A lot of us know you, but not as much as would know you in Europe.
And a lot of people know me here and don't even know that I'm a musician.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're because you're on the sea and the cottages.
Yeah.
And, and so on. So them see you as a Rasta man who, in business. Entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's so many sides to you because that is also you.
That is also me. Yeah.
So how, in terms of that political space in Germany that you managed to maneuver yourself through, and then at the same time to bring to that space an appreciation of the drum and bass, what is the kind of recognition in Germany of your contribution to that?
Once I got what they will call it a type of an award. For me, bringing the music to Germany. I think it's hanging somewhere in my...
I know, Papa Kirby, like talk about the award and them thing there.
No,
but it's important to talk about these things, right?
Yeah. For me, this award, as a recognition, was not coming from the music authorities. Mm-hmm. It was coming from some politicians that I had done some good things for them, like the Green Party, because sometimes the Green Party was the only party which you can say they respect you as a black man and what you are doing and respect what you are doing. Mostly the record companies, they're not so much interested unless you are like in a pop scene and you have to dress sexy. And look at me, I couldn't dress.
You brought also in the 60s to that space, Rastafari.
Yes. You see, Rastafari is an inborn thing. It's in me from the day I'm on this earth, Rastafari is in me. So in the whole movement, Rastafari is with you. And you live Rastafari, you preach Rastafari, and that a lot of people in Germany respect too. You have German young man who had never been to Jamaica speak sometimes better dialect than I do. Yes. And only from linking on to the Rastafari culture and free themselves from that oppressive type of a culture that they are living in.
Who were the people in the early days as you brought the drum and bass and Rastafari and the Jamaican culture and language to a space that was alien to it, that didn't know about it? The people were pointing at you and saying, look, mommy. Who were some of the other people around you who, whether it was from continental Africa or from Jamaica?
Mostly the people who were around me was some Africans, like the bass player that I had was an African. The guitar player was an African. The keyboard player was a German. So those people, they have, we link up in a way, and people start to come to your concert, to come to listen to what you're saying, make interview with you. Some come to joke, but they realize it's a serious situation. And we get along. We get along very well. And then it starts to raise. So the big artists now, they start to look to Jamaica for the big artists, like some of the festival promoters. They start to look for big artists. And I introduce them to big artists by telling them, listen, man, you ever hear about this man? You ever hear about that man? Listen to this record here. So they start to here and see, and they come here and find the artists, bring them, put them on their festival, and have me also on their festival.
Yes, because that 2000 festival there in Osopo, I mean, Buju Banton, and then Beenie Man, the big names.
Yes.
I mean, so this is phenomenal, because when you think about coming all the way from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. You were in Europe for decades.
For decades, I tell you, I've been playing all type of music in Europe also. I've been playing rock music for German hit parade music. They call me because of my steadiness.
Yes.
I was known to be the drummer that keep a timing even more than a metronome.
Yes.
So I was called to do many things in many studios. I played on thousands of hits, which nobody know about.
Tell us about some. Well, we know that, and I played it this morning, Boney M, for example, By the Rivers of Babylon, Brown Girl in the Ring. What are some of the others?
But away from that, if I tell you about names, you would even know them. There are German artists, for example. There was a big artist named Drafi Deutscher. And I played on several, about 20 of his hits for these artists, which is there in Germany.
Well, we're going to take a break and come back, because when we come back now, I know you had, I don't know, so I want to give you some time, because we have only 15 minutes left when we come back. I want to use that time for your music and your drumming and so on. Let me take a quick break and come back. With me, Jamaica Papa Kerwin is somebody who over the years we've interviewed when I used to do music news and other kinds of, you remember those interviews, Papa Kerwin, music news on them did? Oh yeah, you're hearing me now? Yeah, you remember those days when we do those short interviews? We used to do some short interviews with you.
It's very low. I'm not hearing you so good.
Oh God, is you turned on something over there, or is me? No, it's not. Okay, is that better?
Yeah.
All right. Well, listen, we'll leave music news a bit. Now, with the few minutes that we have left now, I'm going to throw that over to you for the drumming and the chanting and your own music.
Well, my drumming, I'm drumming here right now. I'm sending greetings. Greetings to all my family, all the people who know I and I, in Germany and all over the world. Greetings to my queen. Greetings to all the queens. Greetings to all the Rastafarian house. We are sending greetings. Oh, greetings. Greetings to everyone. Greetings in the name of the Most High. Greetings. Greetings, Prof. Greetings. Greetings to everyone. Greetings to the merchant family up in the mountains of Riversdale and Freedom. To all the families in Linstead, the Golsons. To all the families in Hamburg, the merchants, and all of we sending greetings in the name of the Most High. Greetings, Rastafari greetings.
We love it. Yes, but only YOLO could do something like that, you know.
True.
Make it into a greetings to the family, man. Yeah. And that's the sound of Jamaica Papa Kerwin. You see why we used to play him so often back in the day. Now I find myself without a CD for you, without any of your music.
I'm going to make sure I don't even have one at the yard. It's very funny.
Yes.
They are all online now. You know, I have a son, he put everything online.
Yes. Okay, so we need to put some on some thumb drive and so on.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll ensure that we have those. But, here's somebody who's coming from the 60s before, you were singing before independence, Jamaican
true.
independence, because you're leaving in 65. It means that as a teenager or preteen, you were already in the music before independence. Do you remember independence anyway? Because you left in 65.
Of course I do. I was standing on the road to welcome whoever was coming from foreign to give us that thing they call independence.
Yeah, did you think at that time that it was all a lie?
That time, the mind wasn't there.
No.
It wasn't developed until time goes on. You know it goes sometimes.
And here we are, still fighting for independence. Still fighting for
our freedom. Yeah.
Full free.
But what I would like to say to young musicians, this is a message. Each and every musician and an artist who wants to be an artist should learn about their music business.
Yes.
Because for me, I've done so many things that if I had known about music business at that time, it would have been financially better off for me.
Yes.
Because I've done so much thing, just collect some money, didn't think about my rights, didn't think of making contracts for the things that you have done, for the work that you have done for he, she, and the old lady.
All across the world.
All across that. And they went, furthermore, also, I do producing too. And I produce here, and I'm making it clear on your station, this is speaking truth. I produce a song with Jabooks.
Jabooks?
That song that Jabooks have, Gangola. I produce it, I record it in my home studio in Arokobesa.
Are you serious?
Yes.
I didn't know that you produced.
So I've done lots of things.
There too.
I've done lots of things for people.
Yes.
And I've given thanks to the most, and I'm still doing lots of things for people.
Wow, that was a big song called Angola.
Yeah.
And it was recorded at your home studio in Arokobesa.
At my home studio.
I knew he recorded in Arokobesa, but I didn't know it was your
my
your
home studio.
Wow. So much work. So you're saying, using your own experience to say to young artists and young people in the business, understand the music business.
The music business. It's a great big business. It's a gigantic business.
And your first, I think one of your first brushes with it would have been that Boney M.
Yes. If I had known about business even before Boney M, today a lot of funds would be flowing in my direction because names is very important to have your names written on contracts and written on the things that you have done.
Yes. On the line and notes.
Most of these business people who knows, they just pay you for a work.
So some of these big artists that you would play on their CDs and so on their songs, you weren't credited.
I wasn't credited for about 50% of the things I've done. Wow. The other 50% is like some people is very honest in themselves, so they will write it in and send it to you. Some doesn't care. They just want to take your rights. So young people, stand up for your rights. Bob tell you that already. Yeah. So learn about the music business.
In terms of the Boney M situation where what's his name? Frank Farian.
Rest in peace.
The court ruled in his favor in the end. The Melodians, did they come in at all? Because they had recorded
yes, I know. I tell you, we have at that court at least 25 different versions of that song. Yeah.
Wow.
But he was too strong, too powerful for you to get your rights in Germany.
At that time, yeah. So I know you also work with children. We're in Child Month now. I know you have been working.
Yes, we have a school up in Linstead that we help children with disability So we have like a group of people in Germany. We join our organization where we can collect funds to help this school. There's 8 kids. Every time there's 8, and when one is stepped out and could get to the normal school again, because some of them is very intelligent, but the system does not recognize that because of the way they move and the way they do things. So there's a lady, we have to give her respect for all the work she's doing, and we help her by getting finance to help the children with books and
it's a good message, especially now during Child Month. If you're thinking, what can I do charity-wise during Child Month? These are some of the stuff you can do to assist children, and you're working with children with disabilities. You also have Real Jamaica that we mentioned just now, Cottages by the Sea.
Yes,
because you're back home now. You're living in Jamaica full time.
Yes, I'm living
What year
here.
did you come back?
I always was back,
Back and forth, but you're fully...
but I'm back and forth too.
Still,
because
okay.
I have my family and my grandchildren in Germany. I have 13 grandchildren in Germany.
Wow.
And 6 kids.
Greetings, grandchildren. I hope they're listening.
So I am here most of the time.
Yes.
And then once a year for 2 or 3 months, I'm up there to visit them. And sometimes I do some little music. I did my last concert, last festival concert by Reggae Jam last year.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a massive concert.
It was a beautiful concert.
Yes. So you made that decision that this is my last festival show.
Yes, because you need a lot of energy to do certain performance. And if your body is saying to you, listen, Papa, at time you have to step off that stage,
Yeah, man, go live.
So you have to just follow your
exit. Yes.
You say I'm looking so young.
Yes.
I had to follow my mind because there's a song say if you follow your mind.
We don't know it.
All right. So
sing your song.
Oh man. If I follow my mind. I'm gonna love you. So you have to follow your mind, you know what I mean?
Yes, I never know who says that song at all. Papa Kevin, you're the best, simply the best. Thank you so much. It is such a pleasure, just hanging out with you this morning.
True.
Again, and I hope we can do this another time soon.
I hope so. There's a lot more to talk about, but
we'll do it in part 2.
I'm giving thanks for this. Thank you very much, Kabu.
Yes.
And thanks for the great works you are doing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And if you need any support, I am always there. Even if your car breaks down and you need somewhere to drive, you get somewhere.
Thank you, Papa Kevin. I know. Enough love to you too. Enough love to the family.
Everywhere.
And this is part 1. We're going to talk again because, as you said, there's just so much to talk about.
Love
Papa Kevin, love you. All right, Jamaica Papa Kevin there, live and direct in the studio. This means so much to me because of it just reminds me, in the early days when I just started out as a young journalist and presenter, that some of the people that I tapped into who, once you listened to them, they helped to guide you just through the music, the very short interviews that you would be having with them. And Papa Kevin was one of those persons and remains one of those persons. Thank you so much, Jamaica. You've been, and talking about that journey, you've been on quite a journey in terms of your literary prowess, but also just as a black man, an African man, just navigating the spaces.
Yes, definitely.
And I want to start with your birth, because you were born
in the UK.
In the seat of racism and classism and colonialism and neocolonialism.
Yeah.
That would be the UK.
Definitely, yes. Yeah. So 66, when my parents met in the UK, coming from Jamaica, the post-Windrush generation.
Yes.
Because as you know, a lot of people had left from the Caribbean and Jamaica in particular. But fortunately for me, to a great extent, even though we had a family breakdown because my father and my mother divorced, and my father took myself and my brother to Jamaica. I was 6, 7, so I came and it's funny because obviously growing up in Jamaica to my formative years, going to primary school, high school, working, and then returning to the UK as a young adult, I was so, even though the circumstances of us reaching Jamaica wasn't the best, but I was so grateful to my father for that, because when I returned and I saw exactly what you just said, and going into workspaces and just walking on the street, and you realize how the color of your skin is a problem for other people. It was an eye opener, it was really eye opener, and then obviously immersing myself in the entire country and working different organizations and. I'm navigating the space. Man, the stress that we're under as a black people in the UK is immense,
It's interesting because, to be black in England, I don't think that many persons who have not had that experience can understand it without experiencing themselves. It's hard, no matter how many stories.
Exactly.
No matter how much literature and poetry and Brixton Rise and make I tell you what them do to me, mama. It don't matter how much of that.
You have to live it.
Unless you live it. Because the experience is also palpable, tangible. So as you left there at 6, so you didn't, how much of it did you remember, while navigating?
Yeah, I didn't, but funny enough, I had snippets of memories in terms of where the tension between my mother and my father, because that was vivid in terms of the abuse and the violence that took place. And I remember like the primary school or the school that I was going to at the time, but aside from that, I didn't remember anything else. All my memories are obviously Jamaica, I'm
happy that your father brought you home. Because here we are. But so it was you and your brother.
Yeah.
And so you went to high school in Jamaica?
Yeah, primary school, high school, and
primary high school.
Yeah.
So as a 6-year-old going into primary school, did you?
Funny enough, I went to Tyron Primary, and at the time there was a lot of parents who have brought back their British children. So Tyron Primary had quite a number of British-born children in it.
So you never really get teased?
No, because there's too many. There's so many.
Because you'll be coming with a strong British accent at 6 o'clock.
Exactly.
6 years old.
Exactly.
6 years old.
Yeah. So
there were others.
There were others, quite a lot, which a lot of people a lot of Jamaicans don't realize that back in the 70s, a lot of Jamaicans actually came back with their British-born children, and they obviously grew up as Jamaicans per se.
Why was that happening, do you think? Have you looked back at that to say?
I've looked at it, and there's a couple of things. So people went up with a 5-year plan, and they've actually attained that 5-year plan, and others just couldn't manage the racism that they faced, and they said, you know what, we're heading home with our children, and that's exactly what they did. But obviously many people stayed, but quite a few people actually returned. So in turn, didn't have that issue at all in regards to being teased, because of so many in the school.
And it's interesting, is it, even though I said that with a laugh, that so you're facing, and your parents facing the Proud Boys and others in England, in the early, what years we're talking about? 70s. And then, for those who returned, when you come back to Jamaica, there's a different kind of discrimination, if you will.
In a sense, but I guess being so young, we didn't realize it, because like I said, we just came back, and the first thing is obviously the heat, and step out of the plane, and then you just get yourself immersed in, and children have a way of adapting better than adults to a great extent in different cultures.
So, because and what I'm talking about, Kwame, is like on this island, this idea that those of our people who return, even whether it's once a Windrush or whatever, so many were there before that, who returned, that they were often seen as mad, but some also came back with a psychosis because of what they'd gone through.
Well, it's interesting you should say that, because growing up in Jamaica and then seeing people come from the UK, yes, exactly, that's the perception you have until you go there and you realize why them deemed as mad, because of the stresses that are under the society. So yeah, for sure, that is correct. But growing up here, it's only when growing up here then and see English people come back and say, well, they're mad people.
Yes, and I know that Professor Fred Hicklin has done a lot of work on that.
Yes.
It is instructive, and we could talk about it again, because so many of us, I think there's hardly a Jamaican here on the island who don't have somebody who did go England, come back from England, fighting at the RAF, fly the plane, etc., etc. There's this because of, and even Miss Lou, talk about the colonial.
Exactly, yeah.
That whole thing. But there's that pressure on us as African people, as Black Jamaicans, in the United Kingdom, that it is phenomenal. It is something that we're going to have to tear apart. I see Sean Paul talking.
Yes, yeah.
Recently.
Yeah, exactly.
And him barely touch it to look like him. No one go too far in it. But do you think it's something that, I know we're kind of veering off a little, but isn't it something that has to be dealt with though?
It can be dealt with as much as it can be, and every day. So when you're immersed in the culture, you're immersed in the culture, and you're immersed in. Bro, I grew up in London, and my experiences were in London. You're fighting every day, literally. You can remember, it's not as if the fight has stopped. It hasn't stopped. The fight has continued up to this day.
Up to this day,
we're still fighting.
Yes.
And that's as much as we can do, I believe. I don't think there'll be any systemic change in regards to how we're treated there. It's just a matter of we have to keep fighting. You know what I mean? For that. And will it ever change? In my opinion, bearing in mind it is the seat of, what we know has, come on, they conquer 3/4 of the world. Them nobody with true love.
Them talking about empire. They just had a big empire celebration last week. I mean, the empire has died, but
exactly.
The sun has set on the empire. But,
that's right. And so the seat of all of that.
Yes.
Angst.
And so what do you think about this conversation on the island now, where everybody is, and come to think of it, Okohi, fit right into what we're talking about right here. So.
Yeah, man, definitely. Right. Definitely.
So what do you think about the conversation that's on the island now, talking about what Sean Paul fed into, this whole discussion of whether or not and I don't want to politicize it, that's not what we're about.
No.
But we hear this discussion now about whether or not the opposition leader have a British passport or a British citizenship. And then we see the picture that I'm showing with somebody with a passport and so on. And then we talk about constitutional reform, we talk about the CCJ as opposed to the Privy Council. Yeah. What's your own view of that? Somebody who's lived in the system and has been writing about the system.
Yeah, I think we just cut our ties. If you're going to serve, for example, in the Parliament of Jamaica, then you have to be a Jamaican. Full stop, point blank. You can't have this dual thing going on. That's the first thing. Yes. You know what I mean? And even if I was to end up being an MP, I'd renege mine.
I agree. No, I agree with you 100% on that.
Get rid of that. My view is that any ties that we have should be cut.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And we're not saying that the opposition leader has a dual citizenship, because we don't know.
We don't know.
Right? But you're making a broader point to say that if you're going to serve in the Parliament
they
in
have
Jamaica,
to be 100%
then
Jamaica.
it is 100% Jamaica.
Yeah, can't be
can't serve two masters.
No.
The Bible did say again.
That's what it says.
Nobody give a name like Baal and like Mama Don Bear.
Yeah. But so all ties should be cut. You know what I mean? Where the CCJ is concerned, in terms of the process, I understand from one aspect in terms of it has to be a process, until we get rid of the Privy Council. But we have to cut that shackle. We have to cut that chain now. It's about time. It's long overdue actually.
Yeah.
That we should have cut the ties from when. But now that we're here, then just go clean and just get rid of everything.
A cold turkey we say right now. It just cuts.
Yeah, man. Just cut. It's cut.
Point well taken. I do agree with you on all of that. And that takes us to the short story. Mm-hmm. What's the title of the story?
Okohi. So
Okohi.
Yeah. So Ocoee. Okohi.
Right. And I've done a lot of research on it.
Okay, wonderful.
Because it's kissing me.
Yeah.
And I said, well, we must learn to pronounce words, because Okohi is
a national town in Florida.
Yeah. And the origin of that word?
It's a Cherokee Native Indian word, and it means wild orchids. I don't know if orchids grew there, but that's what they named it, Okohi. Yeah. So that's where the name came from. And the story itself is based on fictional, aspects of it are fictional, and aspects of it are true. Mm-hmm. So it's about an African Caribbean man traveling through the boonies. And it so happens that whilst going through the boonies, he's stopped by police, and then from that point onwards, there's a number of incidences that take place.
So that whole true part of it is a drive through the boonies, up to the minute of stopped by the police.
Yeah, being stopped by police, and then after that, it's basically.
So that was you?
Yes, actually, I was stopped by the police once, and going through Florida, driving through from Miami up to Ocala, and I was stopped by the police, even though anything could have happened, but at that time, I had to put on a British accent and say, what are you talking about, mate? I don't know. I said, what? I said, and then I had an international driver's license and so that, I guess, to a certain extent, you realize I was a tourist, so, right. You know what I mean? So that aspect is true, and there's elements of the story, as you know, in terms of it being raised to the ground and everything else, but there's parts of it which are, so it touches on a number of themes. It touches on family, it touches on food, it touches on Caribbean connection, so there's a number of themes within the story, which are fictionalized.
I hope I know we're finishing at 8:30. 7:30. What were they now? 8:30. Yeah. But I really want first for you to read it, because it's not so long, But there's something about that story. It's brilliantly written.
Thank you.
You drew me in from the very first paragraph, and all of my senses, including the other sense of fear for the protagonist, if you will, actually were activated.
Yes.
In terms of how you brilliantly just find the right words. Because me read them, I said, when we are right, we can't find them or something. I say, we can't write it like that. Everything came to life. Yeah. Still, we literally have breathed short for you. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And you really had me from the first paragraph. But then later on through that story, I think just that reaching back, it's mysticism, I'm going to call it, because it's just reaching back into ourselves.
Yes, exactly.
And spending time, because we say we are our ancestors.
Yes.
But to be taken into that space where they might have been, or where they are, and what they might have been doing, but also the extent to which our ancestors are our protectors. All of that came out to me, because that light will come from down and comes from and not but ancestor that
exactly,
and so on. So it's brilliantly written. All of it is. I literally saw the movie.
Good. Wonderful. And the thing about that, and you're probably the first person who's seen the entire story for what it is. Everyone else is thinking, sci-fi, or it's back in time and all that kind of stuff. A couple of things around the entire story, how it came about. One, I don't remember. I remember, first off, I've entered the Commonwealth Short Story Prize 9 times. Right? 9 times.
Congratulations.
9 times.
Good on you. 8
of those times was in the UK.
Yeah. And
nothing ever happened. And one time, when everything was in Jamaica. So that's something else in terms of mysticism.
Yeah.
The other thing is, the story went in late. Right? And when it went in late, I didn't know it had gone in late. It's only afterwards they contacted me and said, because it's like, I was ahead, and then they went in. I said, okay, fine. So I went in that late batch, and they pulled it out. And the other thing was, there was a timeline discrepancy, which when I reread it, I said, oh man, this was all after I was shortlisted. And they contacted me and said, you were shortlisted. I reread it, and I said, oh no, there's a timeline discrepancy. And and that was the part where he was stopped by the car, because right in that part, where the police stopped him. And I contacted them, and they said, I couldn't change it. Right? This is after I was shortlisted. I'm saying, oh man, I said, I was proud I was shortlisted, but I thought I wouldn't win because of that timeline discrepancy. But it went on to win, and I was, and that made it exactly what you're talking about, the mysticism around it. Exactly that, because there's things that were happening which had nothing to do with me.
Even with the story itself. Because you could tell from reading this. And I kind of saw different parts of the side of you, and I said, you're very deep, but I think it's also more than that. It is that you wrote that under some serious, ancestral guidance.
Definitely.
In other words, this is because people are doing this. The Koreans do this, right, in terms of reaching back to ancestor and putting that in their creative expression.
Exactly.
And we see the Chinese do it. I mean, the Asians do this, the Indians do this. As a people, some writers do it, but I don't, as a Caribbean writer, And I think I read a lot, but I don't think that I've seen anything that is so appreciative of that connection between ancestor and the living.
Yes.
As what I read on Okoye.
And you're correct, because everything, and funny enough, when I came back home, I said, you know what, I've been writing for years, and I've written, as you've read earlier. But then I said, you know what, I'm going to come from an African, focus. And even prior to Okoye, I wrote, there's a publisher in the UK who was doing they're doing a diverse theme of books, anthologies. And I wrote 4 pieces. I think they had about three book anthologies that they were doing. One was, I'm trying to remember the theme, Immigrant Stories. One was, a few stories, and they're called Froum publishers, and so they have these diverse books, anthologies. And I wrote 4 pieces, 3 of them they accepted, right? Normally they accept 1, they accepted 3. And every single one of those pieces was exactly that, drawing on our story, and so joining our ancestors. And I said, let's look at that.
Well, you can't say that you have work to do. I'm looking at you now because you're in a space, and so this is obviously your purpose to do. I hope this story reaches every single classroom with somebody, whether it is you or we get the line, the liner notes, or we get the, what you call it, something we used to teach when we had the literature at school. What I call it, look at book there again, right? That little yellow book with the blue stripe there. You know, anyway. Yeah. So, because this is our story.
Definitely.
This is our story. So let me take a quick break. And, it's biblical too. Let me take a quick break. I'll soon come back. I'm going to ask my listeners, please listen to this story. Do you need any background music? Any music bed?
Do I need any music behind it? No, I don't think so.
You said the music bed might spoil it, but we can't find a nice little music bed. Just like if you need to take a little breath, we can bring it up. All right, go ahead.
All right. So this is an excerpt from Okoye, and I shall begin. A large moon shone like a massive spotlight, illuminating a barren landscape undulating as far as my eyes could see, dark fissures highlighted by the bright white light. Further to my right, and miles away, a dark, rugged line seemed to follow me, a continuous, ragged mountain range. Its name escaped me. To my left was nothing but complete emptiness, and that up and down land. Michael, this is Michael Jackson, was now living off the wall, Michael was now living life off the wall, and my fingers tapped the beat on the steering wheel. I always enjoyed him, my favorite artist in the whole world. Glancing at my GPS, I couldn't see any town for miles around. I imagined that if there was one, it'd be like the many I had already passed. Small, with strip malls on both sides of the highway and a cafe, a greasy eatery for truckers and short stay passes through, a gas station, pharmacy and the inevitable sheriff's station. The school or hospital would be miles away and not easily seen from the highway. Suddenly, a ping. I glanced at the notification. A blob that had not been there before appeared on my GPS. The name of the place was Okoye. I squinted. There was a town up ahead. I could see the lights on the horizon and the outlines of buildings. Its name made no impression on me. It sounded like one of those haunted places always found in the back of some beyond. I snickered at my own joke. I was not that way inclined to be afraid of the dark. I had only heard about stuff growing up in the Caribbean. Grandpops told us young ones about Rolling Calf, The Lonely Woman, and Black Heart Man. His stories freaked out my sister and brother, but I was always cool. Now an ex-army man, and seeing all that I have seen on my tours, I was certain I would not be scared of any haunted place or people. But I was only fooling myself. There were many nights when sleep was hard to come. I laughed even louder listening to Michael face a Thriller night. I must have been less than a mile from the town when blinking blue and red lights suddenly flashed in my rear view. I had not seen them creep up on me. I must have missed the cruiser's headlights. Maybe I was just lost with Michael in the lady in my life. Well, in his life. My lady was nowhere around. I had learned from experience never to stop on lonely dark roads. One night in the city, against years of knowing on my better judgment, I had stopped for a cop car that had trailed me for over 5 blocks. They said it was a regular stop and demanded my ID, which I refused to give. Instead, I held onto my work ID and shoved it into their faces because I knew my constitutional rights. They threatened me with arrest. According to them, I was obstructing an investigation. Someone fitting my description had robbed a liquor store and was seen running away. Bear in mind, I was walking home that time, had my work ID slung from a lanyard around my neck, and I was also carrying a heavy rucksack on my back. Nevertheless, one of the officers decided he was going to handcuff me. I never saw the inside of their cruiser. Let's just say they came off worse, and I got off from having a police record or even seen the inside of a jail. My ancestors definitely were with me through a superb lawyer. The headlamps and strobe lights flooded my rear view. I kept on at a reasonable pace, not speeding, wheeling my rental car to reach the town's streetlights. I was just on the outskirts of Okohi when the cruiser sped up, overtook me, and skidded to a stop just in front of my car, blocking my way. I screeched to a halt. I waited to be approached by the cop or cops, but nobody came from the cruiser. I had glanced at my dashboard clock just as I slammed on the brakes and saw that 5 minutes had elapsed. I wondered what they were waiting for. Trying to make me sweat? Running my vehicle's plate? I gave it another 2 minutes. Finally, I watched both doors slowly open and 2 state troopers alight. They walked over confidently, one officer tall and thin, the other short and fat. Tweedledee and Tweedledum. I chuckled. With their flashlights blinding me and about a meter from my front windows, the tall one stood back and shouted, "Let me see your hands!" I stuck them out my window. The fat one worked his way to the passenger side, brilliant light brightening my car's interior. "Where you headed, boy?" Boy, I thought, is this not 2023? "Do you need to see my driver's license and documents?" I asked. I was not about to call him sir or rise to the bait. "I asked you a question, boy." "Boy, again?" "Do you need to see my papers?" I demanded. "I do the telling here, boy." 3rd time. I said nothing, my hand still out the window. I knew how these traffic stops frequently went, and I could already see tomorrow's news headlines. That is, if anyone ever even heard about my passing, or shall I say killing. I was in the boonies, nowhere in particular. No other vehicle around, nothing but a wide expanse of empty land and a town away in the distance. I was alone and isolated, but I was not scared. During the last Gulf War, there was an incident in which my unit and I became separated in the Iraqi desert. I happened on an Iraqi patrol. After a brief firefight, I needed to evade capture, which meant being stealthy and doing grotesque stuff to kill the stragglers. I had seen too much of my tour, death a constant companion. I had been scared then. "Get out now!" "Can I have your name and badge number?" He did not answer. Instead, he pointed the light into the back seat, as if looking for something. I could see him better with the deflected light and noticed his hands on his sidearm. I was not about to comply. I had seen too many incidences of black men stepping out of their vehicles and dying. A friend of mine ended up that way. It was heartbreaking attending his funeral and watching his family, especially his mother, wailing in complete sorrow. I wanted to kill those cops who had killed him. "Boy, you heard me?" 4th. There would not be a 5th time calling me boy. That's how suddenly it happened, whatever it was. I saw the flicker of movement in my wing mirror far in the distance. The light rapidly increased in size. Orangey red, hues constantly shifting like a 60 kaleidoscope lamp I once saw at a thrift store. The colors reminded me of being in the fields, artillery fire lighting up the sky, launching shells at an unseen enemy. The tints now looked just like the flames that flashed from the mortar spouts. I watched the orb grow. Officer Fat saw it first and turned to look, eyes widening in terror. He mouthed rather than said, "What the hell?" The bright ball swiftly concealed my mirror, and Officer Tower must have caught the light from the corner of his eye. He drew his weapon. Involuntarily, I flinched and ducked down into the passenger seat. I wanted to make certain I would give myself a living chance. Abruptly, I heard both officers shouting in panic. Then a barrage of shots shattered the night. They emptied their clips. I counted over 17 shots. None splintered my windows or smashed into my car. A white light blinded me. I stayed low, covering my head with my arms. Even with my eyes shut tight, I saw the hues morph in their multicolored dance. There was a loud whoosh, then total silence until night creatures slowly and quietly made their presence known once again. I raised my head. The officers and their cruiser were gone. The place they once stood was vacant, as if they had never existed. The light was gone too, the night as clammy as it had been all along. I was sweating. There you go.
You see, Orange just stop the thing and I tell me about there you go.
I'm going to listen to that one.
Listen, I'm going to read the rest of it.
I'm going to read the rest of it.
No, listen, and you see, this is you see the rest of it that Kwame McPherson, my brother, is telling us how we don't have to read for yourself. This is where the whole scene changes.
Yes, exactly.
And this is the next part now.
That's right.
Of where you get into the real.
Yeah.
That I think the mysticism I think started in terms of the story from that light.
That's right.
And so I'm reading, I'm thinking, is this a UFO? Is this and the first thing that made me think, and then the second thing hit me when I realized I didn't realize that it wasn't necessarily a UFO until I read much further in the story.
Okay.
And I came forward and I said, okay.
Yeah.
Right. This is ancestor.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Chief Techi and them.
That's right, exactly.
Because they come with fire.
Exactly.
And light and so on.
Yeah.
So this is it's really brilliant because let's just give us a synopsis of what happens after that, and then we tell our listeners where to find the story because it's not a long story.
No, it's not.
And it's a pretty easy read.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Probably 20 minutes read.
Yeah, under 5,000 words.
Yeah.
Further on, he then comes to Okahi. And as like I said, and the history of Okahi, which I'll go into now actually, is that it was a black and white town. Right? Mm-hmm. So what happened though, with a lot of black towns, as you know, in the 19th and 20th century, they were burnt to the ground. Right. It's an incident happened in Okahi where there was a massacre of all the black people and basically were run out, really.
So we know a lot about Tulsa, which you reference in the story.
As a hotel.
As a hotel.
Yeah.
It named
as a hotel.
Okay, no, man. I got goosebumps reading this now because I'm saying this is it, Yeah. This is basically what it probably is like anyway, if you manage to, enter those spaces.
That's right.
Basically, so what happened at that minute was a bending of time and space.
That's right. Exactly.
So
that's right.
So you, I say you because you keep saying somebody else, but you woke up. So you woke up.
Yeah. And then what happened in terms of the story was, then he comes upon the town, I see all these black people.
Right.
And recognizing characters that he couldn't from his own life.
Yeah.
And
because he continues driving.
That's right.
After that.
That's right. And then comes into the town, see all these people, seeing it and recognizing them for who they are. And then there's an image which he then sees. Yeah. And then at the end, when he wakes up, that everything goes.
Yeah,
together.
it's basically like, can you just imagine going through from Islington to Whitehall all the way to Westmoreland and driving that route and then having this phenomenal supernatural experience and an ancestral intervention. But then time and space bends upon itself and you find yourself in another dimension because a multidimensional kind of stuff.
Exactly.
And in that dimension, you're recognizing, not necessarily because you recognize them face, but because the essence of them.
That's right.
And so, but you say, but not Chief Techi that.
Exactly.
And Techi come give you all a cup of tea.
Yeah.
And tell if you drink it hot.
I just noticed I made significant reference to food. And that's also trying to bring those things in to the story to show the connection that we do have, with ancestors.
So you were greeted in that dimension, which is really a quantum mechanics because it is what it is because you're in the very same space. So you're greeted in that dimension by all of the ancestors who were so brutally massacred.
That's right.
But who were living their best lives in this dimension.
That's right,
who you recognize. Where did that come from for you? That thinking to that experience is phenomenal, I think. But what did you pull up on to do that dimensional jump?
Interesting, because I challenged as a writer. I realized no, because I didn't realize it before. It's no in terms of my purpose, in terms of writing, telling stories. Is that I draw on authors of people. I draw on so when it is almost a spiritual movement in a sense because I've been able to go into that space, like I went to Cape Coast, and I had the experience of going into enslavement fort, and that's where a lot of the realizing that there's connections with that time and within the space. And when I'm writing, it just right, so that's right, you know, right. It just comes, it just flows, you know what I mean? And that's how it comes. It's it's almost like I'm using it as a funnel to say what needs to be said, you know? So that came from somewhere. So when I read about the story, I'll be right back.
Yeah, I tell you, because you see, it's really deserving of the win. And I hear you say that, so you entered 8 times before. Nine times before. This was your 10th.
Yeah.
And that this win came once you had returned to Jamaica.
Yeah.
And you think that there is also a spiritual, mystical connection?
Without a doubt. Like I said, because prior to Okahi, I had written before, and those things that, like I said, 3 out of 4 had been successful. Yes. And I started to say, hold on a minute. So I'm going to So being back in Jamaica, which is, you know, you can't deny the creativity and the vibration and all that's taking place. That came out, you know. Remember, 8 times, I hadn't done anything marginally different from being in London, you know.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But obviously being in the right environment.
Yeah, ancestors wouldn't allow that to happen while you're in London.
Exactly.
So, and then another lesson I think for us, and tell me what you think about it in that, and I think I've heard you talk about this, is the idea of patience.
Yeah.
In terms of your own tribulation, then, if you will, or trial. You know, you stick to it until you won, but this is what you want on. So what does that mean to you?
It means a lot, because, like I said, it's almost I've been writing for years, like I said before. And I've been through my own trials in terms of having depression and stuff like that. But, and that's where the purpose actually came out, in terms of when I went through that time, that space, when I was in that space. So it shows that now is the time for it, in terms of this type of writing. Now is the time for the messages to come out in terms of almost creating an awareness and a reawakening of us to realize that we're not separate from what has gone on before. I think it's
brilliant. I think that I'm hearing the Vatican saying that they're having a press conference the supernatural, aliens. That's happening now. But before that, we heard the World Economic Forum came out and said at the beginning of this year that what we're going to be looking at, what people are going to be paying more attention to, going as of now, coming outside of COVID, what people will be looking up more, people will be more connected to the spiritual, and people will be more connected to aliens and UFOs and all of that. And this is the moment that this is coming out for black people, because what this does, I think it situates our own experiences and points us to this idea of the multidimension, the multiverse, then, if you will.
And the experience that I said, when I went to Ghana and I went to Cape Coast, I had an experience of being at Labadi Beach. And I remember, it was 2006, and I remember distinctly, I was on the beach, and I was just having a silent prayer to the ancestors, and the water was coming at my ankles. And then, you know, and I was saying to them, boy, listen, you know what I mean, I've returned and I've been through some stuff, but what I've been through is no comparison to what you went through. And then the water started coming at my knees. Yeah. And I as a matter of fact, I think I wrote that in my book, my depression book. Yes. And I will never, and that is something that stuck with me, that the water's coming at my knees, and I said, wow, they heard me. And like I said, and that's where I literally found the purpose. Like them said, what are you good at doing? You're good at writing, and you're good at people of enjoying, you know. It's brilliant.
It goes beyond. So let me just, where do our listeners get to finish the story? Because you were so measly with your reading.
Right. It can be fun. It's available online, and it's available on www.granta, granta.com. So that's www.granta.com/Okohe, and that's OCOEE. And it's there.
Right. Or you just type in Kwame McPherson name and just look him up and ultimately take you to Granta.
Yeah, and like I said, and the movie is being talked about.
The movie is solid, you know. This is a solid movie. This is a kind of, when you talk about historical or costume and period drama, I think this fits right into that context, because I'm not quite sure what year was Okohe burned?
1920.
Right. So you see that you're going into a different period. So it fits into this costume and period drama, which I note that a lot of them connects back and forward to this idea of the spiritual, of the ability to move through dimensions. And so it fits. Can I direct the movie? Let me take a break. I'll take a break. I'll be back. if you follow me, you think it's me writing the story. With our brother Kwame McPherson. Kwame, how this is? I know this is for you. Your life's work. So many of us are looking on and are motivated just by the work that you do, but especially our young people.
Right.
How do they tap into you specifically, but also give us some advice?
All right. So. Well, I always say that anybody who's looking to write, just write. That's the first thing. Even I do some work at Calabar, and it's phenomenal in terms of what young people can produce. And I don't think they realize how powerful they are in terms of their writing. So that's why I always say to anyone, just write, because the technicalities of writing in terms of grammar and all that kind of stuff, you can do the fixing afterwards. But initially, just write. Get what needs to be said down, and then you deal with everything afterwards. In terms of getting in contact with me, they can contact me on my email, which is Kwame, Kwame, M.A. McPherson, McPherson @gmail.com.
So it's Kwame, M.A. McPherson.
That's correct.
At gmail.com.
Yeah, and they also can call me 876-371.
You sure about that?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. But go ahead.
876-371-8811.
Okay.
And they can WhatsApp me on there.
Okay.
And I am available. I do book mentoring and book coaching, as you mentioned earlier. So, and I do support other people and showing them the process of writing to get published and all that kind of stuff.
Right. So organization, institutions, can reach out to you.
Definitely.
And you'll come in.
Definitely.
Are you living in Jamaica for good now, or you're
I am. Yeah, man. I travel out now rather than being out and traveling.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. I don't understand living in the UK. And
can't do them stresses.
It's not a good thing.
No. As a creative, I needed the vibration of being.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? On the ground, and Jamaica the vibration that they want to tap into it, you know. Yeah.
Because that kind of energy and that kind of vibration that we even see coming from the story itself, that's a high level of spirituality. Now, Nana Erna Broadband does work up there in Woodside, St. Mary. And I'm just going to take it up on myself to just invite you. Nana, we're inviting Kwame.
I'm always ready for the words, man.
Okay. But I know you're also a poet, and writers are in your family, right? Do you have?
Well, it's interesting you should say that. You know, I haven't done any research on it yet. But my father used to write, but didn't write creatively.
Okay.
My nephews can write. My brother, in fact, was a better writer than I at in high school. He won awards. After leaving primary school, I needed to learn composition, essays, and that kind of stuff. I was going to high school.
What's your brother's name?
Rodney McPherson. And I didn't do any writing at all after primary school. It's only when I left Jamaica and went to the UK, funny enough, is when I started writing again. Whereas my brother was in high school winning awards year in, year out at Calabar. And so he was a better writer at that time than I was. You know, but he didn't follow it through.
Right. Is there a poem that you have can we do? Because we have 4 minutes. And
all right, the poem is one I always tend to share, which I had shared at St. Mary actually.
This is Kwame McPherson, winner of the Commonwealth Short Story Prize 2023. And
I must give a shout out to everyone who's listening, because I got people listening from the UK all over the place.
There you go. Oh, we must apologize to them. We don't mean uno. You don't know how we mean it.
So this is actually my first poetry book that I did when I came out of my depressive state. And it's called Our Eternal Legacy. And this poem is called My Mind's Eye. My mind's eye. My mind's eye watched a brown-colored wooden ship on the horizon. It appeared suddenly out of the golden sun. White squares slapping like big seagulls' wings flapping, floating over the water, hitting the beach, then began the slaughter. Men, white like rolling waves, skin like my brother's sisters gone past, now on the ground. Eyes blue, still, no life there, no feeling anywhere. Like a tiger's ready to pounce, ready to kill. My mind's eye watched our ancestors gunned down, arms outstretching in love and welcome, blood drenching the beach, fear now known, eyes wide staring at what had come, wickedness declaring. Doctors, administrators, kings, queens, men, women, children, brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers couldn't have seen the danger of our love given to another being. Herded like cattle, bounded shackled, transported to faraway lands, it's evident today we sift like the desert sand. Nowhere to go, lost we don't even know. My mind's eye watched our ancestors lament, whipped, lashed, raped, murdered, betrayal of each other easy when tempted. Life had no meaning, I thought of our future, a victory worth earning. No going back, no turning. My mind's eye watched the privileged life we now live. Will we work and die as they did, in the face of oppression, death, hateful deeds, creating our own reality, determining our own need, learning about self, read. In our heart, in our blood, our ancestors rest in truth, rest in peace, not driven by others into the mud. My mind's eye watched.
Yes, my brother, I feel you. Look here, let me ask you a question. A few times you mentioned your depressive state, and we're out of time totally. But
yeah.
So tell me about that.
Okay, back in I had left the UK. I went to Canada. Right? One cold country after that, well, Canada's colder. And the reason for that was, one was love, but the other one was to set up a business with some business partners. Okay. So what happened, it didn't happen, so I started to integrate and assimilate myself. But at the time, I was able to access a lot of money. And I was doing a lot of self-development, going to the seminars, the Les Browns and all that kind of stuff, being inspired. And I got all this money, because at the time they were giving out, that banks were giving the money away, really. Yeah. And I invested it. Invested in property, invested in businesses, and then basically lost everything. Oh wow! Yeah, and then that's what that outside stress. That outside stress. Then
so you were clinically depressed?
I wasn't clinically depressed. I didn't get to that stage, but I was depressed in terms of my cousin was the one, because she was working in a mental health institution, so she's the one who identified I was in that state. Yeah, so
I was able to assist you.
Yeah,
there's always, and this is why. Look out for your relatives, look out for your friends, look out for each other.
Definitely.
So that you can identify what people are going through and assist if you can.
Yeah.
I'd need to invite you to come back.
Yes.
But here you are, and please
can I talk about the book, My Day with Depression?
Yes, quick. 1 minute we have it up.
My Day with Depression is a reflection of that journey and the people it impacted upon, like my sister and the ex-girlfriend that I had, or girlfriend that I had at the time. And it was a process.
What's the book called?
My Day with Depression.
My Day with Depression.
From mental uncertainty to self-fulfillment. But the beautiful thing is I've had interactions, even up to like yesterday, I had interaction with a group of fellow Calabar, guys in the foreign who we talked about depression and we're talking about it, and so I'm going different forums and talking about it, because it seems that I'm giving men permission to talk about this, being in this place, and having a book about it.
Yeah. This is, as I said before, a motivator in so many different ways. Our brother Kwame McPherson been through so much and churning out the best of Caribbean writings, or international writing. Thank you so much. That's mine.
Yeah.
Yes, I welcome that. Thank you so much, my brother. And please go and read this, finish the short story. You can find it on Granta.
That's right, Granta.com.
Granta.com/Okohi. Right. IRFM has always been part of the celebrations along with the KSAMC, and we're happy to once again join the KSAMC on the Africa Day Liberation celebration that they have planned for this year. I'm going to be speaking with Councillor for the Whitfield Town Division, Councillor Eugene Kelly. He's a real estate agent. He's a former aide to now retired Prime Minister and PNP President Portia Simpson Miller. Councillor Kelly, good morning. Welcome to the Africa Forum. Thank you so much.
Pleasant morning to you. I see you did some research on me.
Look here, no man.
I love it. But listen, I also want to put on record. A member of the UNIA. I was a member of the UNIA on UWI campus when it was turning to the Marcus Garvey movement.
Oh,
so that is way back, what, late 1990s.
1990s. So, that means that we're good at the talk before. This is not our first interview then.
I I don't know if it's our first interview, but we have spoken.
Yes. Okay, so it's you. So now I know. I wondered why the name sounded so familiar to me, So that name sound familiar. All right, brilliant. So that put a lot in perspective. Well, congratulations on carrying this forward, because this has always been something that when we used to say what we used to call it before? KSAC?
KSAC.
Yes, back in the day when the KSAC was doing this, and from Mandela Park to wherever, Angela Brown Burke and Mutabaruka, and so we have always been there from the very first time that the KSA then and now the KSMC have been doing this. What?
And, when you mentioned Angela Brown Burke, her deputy at the time was Andrew Swaby, and so he has just recently been made mayor, and he has said basically, listen, we want to get back to those pre-COVID days of Africa Day celebration. And he has said we have to ramp it up.
Yes.
And that's what we're trying to do.
Well, and let me congratulate you on that, because really this is always something that I think we looked forward to. It was always the Africa Day celebration, although there were so many others, but this was one of those that was foregrounded. We knew we had to be there. All right. So, well, a little bit about Africa Day first. I mean, why are we observing Africa Day?
Well, it's part one in terms of it's under our responsibilities as a local authority. We are to promote the culture of our people. We are to also promote the local entrepreneurs. And certainly we talk about out of many one people, but let's be clear, we are predominantly an African culture, and we have to celebrate that. And with this event, we're doing a little bit of both, because we're bringing together our local, our jewelers, our African jewelers, our craftsmen.
And then before you get to what's going to happen on the day, just to foreground and to remind our listeners that this is a celebration. It's also coming out of the Africa Union. First it was the OAU and then the Africa Union, but also that we are the sixth region. The African diaspora is seen as the sixth region of the Africa Union, and this I don't think we say this enough, Mr. Kelly. I don't think we foreground this enough. So I think it's part of your duty to do that.
Yes, and thanks listen, from the days of when I used to have to hide and listen to Muta Baruka at some wee hours of the morning as going to high school, IRFM continues to educate.
Then why you didn't have to hide?
No, man, because I'm supposed to my
Okay. Now we understand.
Yes. No, we and let me tell you, we have some practices. Our people have some practices we want to stamp out. The skin bleaching continues to be a scourge. Yeah. And I'm a fundamental believer that if our people know what Africa is, know the history, we're the first human civilization, know this, knows where we're going, because listen, our children will live in a time in which majority of the world population will reside in Africa. And by the way, that is also our theme. Our sub-theme for Africa Day is Africa Rising. Rekindling our African heritage. So that would be the theme for the day for our event.
Yes, I love that.
Yes.
Because we're talking about the Renaissance that's happening on the continent of Africa, and we see and even if it is cautious optimism and hopefulness and so on, and hope springs eternal, but yes, Africa Rising, because this is where we are now, in a space where we see Africa rising. And you talk about the bleaching and so on. Isn't it all connected though, Mr. Kelly? The creaming of the hair, the denigrating of self, the low self-esteem, the devaluing of the body generally.
Yes.
The whole thing, isn't it? If we're to take out one, I don't think we'll ever solve the problem, because isn't it all connected back to values and attitudes, how we value ourselves?
And knowledge. And so that's why the theme in terms of the wider African Day about education is so important. And I'm hopeful because today I live in a time in which women are prouder of their African natural hair than when I was in high school.
Yes,
so
you're
I
right.
believe that there is a growing, and listen man, take a bow. IRFM and the team must take a bow for raising the consciousness.
We're seeing that, we are seeing that there is a level of consciousness regarding a better acceptance of hair. I think we still have some work to do with what's happening in the schools with locks, for example, and how some students are treated who are still not able to go. But there's a whole lot of work to be done, even as we celebrate Africa Day under the theme Africa Rising. So the KSAMC leading the charge once again in the observations, the celebrations of Africa Day. When is this going to be?
It's going to be the 25th. Saturday the 25th. It's going to be the historic St. William Grant Park. We're going to start at 10 a.m. and we hope to conclude at 4. I doubt it because when you go on Irie, the number one radio station,
remember, so when the police come to shut you down, you say, you doubt it, you doubt it.
And Kabu, it's going to take the format of a pop-up village, and we're going to have, emceeing. We're going to have a concert in the middle of it, about 1 o'clock. About 2 o'clock, which will be emceed by our renowned storyteller, Dr. Amina Blackwood-Meek.
Of course, yes.
And of course, we hope to have you, Kabu. We hope to have IRFM with the outside broadcast, and we hope you're there.
I do understand that IRFM is going to be there. I have been having conversations, and I heard that is something that is in the process of being finalized. Or this is what I'm hearing. If not, you're the best person to tell me if it's finalized.
We are going to have an outside broadcast by IRFM. What I don't know if it's Kabu going to be there.
Look at Mr. Eugene Kelly, no man. Councillor of the Whitfield Town Division. Listen.
It is a space where some of our African conscious listeners must come and talk and meet your favorite IRFM personality. And just talk. We're going to have people from our African embassies, South African, Nigerian High Commission. We hope to get the Ethiopian Consul General there. We're working on that. We're going to African food going to be there. Bring your money to buy some African clothing, jewelry.
And there are other organizations on the island. I'm not quite sure if you were managed to reach them, such as
I have to mention them, Lord. The Institute of Jamaica, the African Caribbean Institute of Jamaica, Liberty Hall. I have to mention Edna Manley College.
Wow. So what will a day look like? Because I'm used to it at Mandela Park. Now it's going to be at St. William Grant Park.
Yes, it's going to be St. William Grant.
You have more
space. So we're going to have tents showcasing the food, the culture, such as the jewelry, the art, paintings, the accessories. That we want to keep it, within that field.
Right.
We're going to have a drum circle. We're going to have African drumming.
I love that.
We hope to have a dance competition. So if persons out there and you want to be engaged in this African dance, because African beats, isn't it? That's the number one musical
Afrobeats. Yes, it's a run things, I know.
It's a run thing. And
Afrobeats,
I want everyone, please reach out to us via WhatsApp, 853-7935 if you want to be involved. We still have a couple booths available for those local entrepreneurs, and that's a big thrust for us. We want to push
so booths on the ground. So this is looking like an African marketplace, and on the ground there will be various booths. You're saying some booths are with art and craft, with jewelry, did I hear you say foods? All kinds of African foods.
Yes.
And cultural Jamaican food like rondong, and kenke, which is blue draws, which is dukuno.
Well, we hope to have all of them.
I'm checking.
We hope to have all of them. But as I said, we still have a few booths available. So reach out to us on the WhatsApp or WhatsApp 853-7935. And also we have the socials after the stage socials on X, formerly Twitter, at KSAMCORP. On Instagram at KSAMCORP, on Facebook, Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation. Reach out to us to to get some information on how you can be involved.
Right. Because you're looking at the 25th, which is next week, isn't it?
So the coming weekend, yes.
Yes, it's Saturday.
Yes.
It's next Saturday. So you don't have a lot of time. So if you need a booth, reach out immediately for the booth. That is critical. And then also now, so what's going to happen on the day? Because give us a rundown of the, because I know you're working on your itinerary and I'm not quite what the day will look like. But I know you're saying that there will be a concert and special guests. Will there be special speakers? Who will be addressing the gathering or? What format is it taking?
We're going to have a keynote speaker. Mm-hmm. It's a bit of a surprise. We're keeping some of the artists. It's going to be a surprise. It's going to be a surprise.
The keynote speaker is a surprise?
It's a surprise, man. To show you how to show you.
All right.
And then we're going to also have the reading of the message, because every Africa Day we have a message from the African Union.
Yeah.
And we hope that will be read by the High Commissioner from South Africa.
Okay.
That has been the tradition.
Yes.
Yeah.
It sounds good. I'm not sure if we're leaving anything out. Mutabo, of course, will be there, and he's always there. So he's playing black music this year again.
Yeah, he's an extended family of KC's team, and he's an extended family. So we hope to have him there.
Muta, you hear that though? I know we have it as a Muta. So me and Muta will talk about that. But I do know that he's always there, the one who plays the music over the years. And so you're saying he'll be there this year again at St. William Grant Park playing black music.
And we hope to, from the Edna Manley College, we hope to have some art, exhibitions. All there's going to be music all day, African music all day. We hope to have an open mic, because we people going to come there want a bus.
So you're saying that so there are poets on the ground who and the thing about that though, Eugene, let me just ask you, because for this open mic, are you asking people to be aware of the theme, aware of the day, of what the celebration is, so you don't,
definitely, because Africa is rising.
Right.
And that's the
so
theme.
remember the theme.
We're selling that, we're pushing that.
So if you come for the open mic section, remember say that are the theme. Africa is rising.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, it sounds good. I know you'll be doing more interviews across Area FM, and by that time you would have fleshed out more of what the day would is shaping up to be.
We hope to have some ads running, on Iris, so they will hear more.
So anything else finally that you want us to know before you go?
Just that we want you to know it's gonna be a family affair, because yes, many of us have that African consciousness, but are we transmitting it to the next generation? Mm-hmm. And we want you to bring out the children. We also want interaction. So we're also asking persons here in Jamaica who are actually from the continent to come out, so that you can talk with Jamaicans, tell them about Africa. Yes. Kabu, sometimes I put on my WhatsApp status some pictures of the cities in Africa. And I'm always amazed at how people are amazed.
I know.
That is Africa, because we have been so brainwashed.
Yes. I know.
To focus the next generation, letting them know the light, because it is in their time that Africa will be once again preeminent.
Little by little, Casper. So much work has been done, and so much gains have been made. You know that. We just talk about even the acceptance of hair and so on. And so my brother, I look forward to just hearing much more about what is planned. The day, I'm sure, is going to be brilliant. It's going to be at the St. William Grant Park. It is on May 25, which is Saturday. And it starts what time?
10 a.m.
All right. And it goes through until sun go down.
Until the sun go down. We're going to have that concert at about 2 o'clock.
Or until Liquor Sala up and the sound man lock up and gone.
I won't abuse our privilege, because we are part of that permission.
I know. Well, let me fix it for you. Until bad lights stop playing.
Love that.
All right.
Thank you again.
Thank you so much, my brother.
Allowing us this space to share this.
Thank you so much, my brother. All right. So that was Councillor Eugene Kelly, Councillor of the Whitfield Town Division, talking about the KSAMC Africa Day celebration that will be happening on May 25 at St. William Grant Park here on the island. Good morning, Dr. David Mohammed, my brother. How are you doing?
Good morning and greetings, my beloved sister, and to all the listeners. I am well, thank you. I'm doing very well.
All right, great.
By God's grace.
Great to have you online, David. I was teasing you earlier on when we were talking to Kwame McPherson, and I said, where are we talking to David from today? Is it from Trinidad or from England? And I think I looked on the stuff, and I said, but he's going to be from England. And I said, but David didn't hear Muta's poem. Good for staying up there to that. Right? So Anita, I think I need to send you that poem, David?
Yes, you can. Even though I'm vaguely familiar with the content, but yes.
All right, then. Well, since you know it already, we'll leave it at that. But good to hear from you. So you're talking to us from the UK today, but obviously about the plans for Trinidad and the Africa Day celebrations. David, talk to us about Africa Day, the history of Africa Day, what it is, why is it that we're observing Africa Day?
Right. So we generally refer to the occasion as African Liberation Day, but I understand the usage of the term Africa Day, which in a way consolidates a number of different concepts into one, because it was really on the 15th of April in 1958 in Ghana that Africa Freedom Day was established. Mm-hmm. And the purpose of Africa Freedom Day was to mark our annual, yearly onward progress of the liberation movement in Africa as the dismantlement of colonization began around that time with Ghana's independence. Mm-hmm. And then it was 5 years or so after that African Liberation Day was established, where heads of, at that time, independent African states met in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, under the auspices of His Imperial Majesty Emperor of Ethiopia, Haile Selassie. Mm-hmm. And it was so between Africa Freedom Day of 1958 and African Liberation Day of 1963, we saw major movements in South Africa, Ethiopia, Guinea, Kenya. And what was great about the concept of African Liberation Day was it was also one of those first movements to be established among black communities in the African diaspora, mm-hmm. in places which included China, America, and Russia. Mm-hmm. And a lot of this consciousness was coming up out of student movements. Yes. As you will know, most of the early, and this has been both a plus and a negative, mm-hmm. many of the early political leaders of Africa were educated in the West, mm-hmm. either in England or France or Belgium or mm-hmm. Spain or Portugal. Mm-hmm. And some would have taken the knowledge and applied it to the relevance of the reality of our situation. Others mm-hmm. would have remained under the post-colonial influence mm-hmm. of the authors of an ethnocentric curriculum that has continued to poison the minds of our children mm-hmm. up to this day.
Yes.
But
yes.
The African Liberation Day celebrations, though, spread worldwide, and within a few short years, you had 31 African countries, mm-hmm. And 21 African liberation movements, hundreds of international supporters, there were observers, and it grew in stature. Mm-hmm. So it was in 2013 that we in Trinidad hosted our first African Liberation Day celebration, which was the 50th anniversary of African Liberation Day itself. So we still must bear in mind 1958 and April the 15th under President Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, and of course the great Trinidadian who was his chief advisor, George Padmore, who we named our youth academy. And then, so what we have to try to replicate now on the grassroots level was the progressive evolution between 1958, Africa Freedom Day, to 1963, African Liberation Day.
Yes.
But just to add one more thing to that, just to add one more concept. So we celebrated our first African Liberation Day celebration in 2013 for the 50th anniversary worldwide. This year is the 61st anniversary worldwide. However, for our African Liberation Day in Trinidad, we are commemorating the 50th anniversary of a magnificently grand event that took place on May 27, 1974, which was Black Family Day. Now, this was led by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who at the time was not the leader of the Nation of Islam as yet, but he was the national spokesperson for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And the largest event that was known to us up to that time, it was Black Family Day, 1974, at Randall's Island in New York. It drew a crowd of 74,000 people.
Wow.
Even though many of us may not know much about this event in a historical context, at that time, it was such an enormous occasion because
a disruptor, of course. Even that numbers. Yes.
Well, exactly. But the speech was actually on vinyl record. So the speech was so popular.
Yes.
And it was literally marketed as an album. And I happen to have a copy of the original vinyl record of the minister from that speech. And it was also a speech where it was the first time that I had heard Minister Farrakhan, because in part of the speech, he speaks in these different Caribbean accents: Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad.
Yes.
And he was talking about the unfortunate disunity that arises sometimes between our people in different parts of the diaspora.
Wow. And that takes us...
the Jamaican accent, Trinidad and Barbados accent.
And I'm glad that, and you know, as usual, the Minister Farrakhan was always that one to foreground Caribbean unity, and that takes us to the Unity Conference that's scheduled as we mark African Liberation Day or Africa Day this year. That's going to be happening in Trinidad. So tell us about that.
Right. So this, I mean, we're talking about all these anniversaries and commemorations.
Yes.
This will actually be the 6th anniversary of the opening of our doors. Because as you would be aware, in 2015, we acquired 3/4 of an acre of land from the state, and we built with our own hands, with no government funding, a 6,000 square foot building, which we named in honor of Kwame Ture, formerly Stokely Carmichael, a son of the soil of Trinidad and Tobago. And so every year, naturally, we would have a theme for African Liberation Day. But this year, our theme is somewhat different to what it would have been in years gone by. This year, our theme is centered around family.
Yes.
In commemoration also of Black Family Day, 50 years later, we're looking at parenting, the responsibilities of fathers and mothers, and the roles, functions, duties, and responsibilities that we carry with these titles. We're going to look at what should be the strength of the family to withstand and fortify its members against the influence of negative peer group factors.
Mm-hmm. And this is
gangs.
Go ahead. Gangs?
No, I was just going to say gangs and the leaders that they produce in deviant subcultures have replaced positive male role models who were relatives because of how fragmented our family structure has been. Mm-hmm. So we have to be able to now, from a village perspective, be able to withstand and reinforce our own positive socialization processes so that those negative impacts do not affect our youth. We have too many bright and brilliant examples of young black students who have topped cities, universities, towns, educational districts in America, Canada, all across Europe, in Africa. We have too many, way too many magnificent African student role models who have demonstrated excellence.
And
we have too many of those to have so many negative influences capturing the minds of our young children.
And this is the Caribbean reality. This is our people's reality right now. So we all have a stake in this conference, the Unity Conference. All right, well, give a breakdown quickly because we have just 2 minutes to go. Who are some of the speakers on the conference and how can we access the Unity Conference?
Right. So, of course, I'll be delivering the feature address, but also, as we do every year, we have young speakers. Like under the age of 11, we're hoping to have a brilliant sister. We have the Speaker of the House of the Tobago House of Assembly, the presiding officer, magnificent role model, young black sister, Abby Taylor. We have the head of the Scrap Iron Dealers Association, the president, who has been holding a number of talks across Trinidad on injustices within the employment sector. We have Minister Dennis Mohammed of Guyana, who is one of the most well-known figures in Guyana and the excellent work. And he's so important right now because, of course, Guyana is in its critical stage of expansion economically. But a lot of those conversations are only taking place between elitists. What about on the grassroots? And we have the son of Imam Yassin Abu Bakr, Brother Fuad Abu Bakr. We have Global Ambassador for Agriculture. Again, young, black, grassroots ambassador. This brother's been to so many countries that he even ended up in Israel. Alpha Semen. I mean, they terrorized him in Israel. That's what they do over there. But brother has represented agriculture, Caribbean agriculture all over. He's going to talk about the importance of us growing our own food. And that's just to mention a few. Of course, there'll be some artists and entertainers, but it's going to be a full day. And every year, it's our main event on the calendar.
Yeah. Will this be streamed? Can we access that? Can we?
Right. So we would have to look for Black Agenda Project on social media. So on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Black Agenda Project. And we will find it.
All right. Brilliant. And once again, it's going to be on the 25th?
Next week, Saturday. Yep, Saturday
what
coming.
What time?
Saturday, May 25th from 3 p.m. Eastern Caribbean time, which will be 2 p.m. Jamaica time.
All right. Thank you so much, my brother, Dr. David Mohammed. Thank you so much.
Mr. Kabu, I'm so grateful to you for all the work that you're doing and that you continue to do and what you've done. And I look forward to seeing you in August.
Thank you so much, as usual. Thank you, my brother, David Mohammed.
Yes,
and you
right.
too. And
Thank
you too.
You.
So it's time for the Vatican. And now also, it's a way of preemptive programming because they're about to bring in this holographic staging of angels and the second coming and enough things are going on and people are already, on the stage. What's about to happen has already happened. And about it, when I talked about it, and I talked about it ad nauseum, not only that, they tried to get the program off. Not only that, they tried to get the whatever comments that were in any YouTube that was out there pulled. Because we were having these conversations here, it was always going to be what it's going to be. Now, I asked a whole lot of questions. Whose interest does that ministry serve? Who are the people in that ministry? Who are the ambassadors that are tagged onto that ministry? What has that ministry done in terms of what has that ministry signed off on over the years since it has been in place? I want to talk to you about, but we are having issues getting him up online, even though he's on the phone. So that we're trying to work out. It doesn't seem as if we'll have enough time to work that out because we're getting close to just 18 or so minutes to 10 o'clock. But we're going to have to apologize to him, to Kenneth Kovale, who took the time out to be on the program this morning. But as it is now, with the time looking like it's looking, I think we might have a little difficult. Bring back the love after football match, Labor Day, May 23, the 28th staging of the annual Bring Back the Love after football match. This is scheduled to be held at the Harbourview Mini Stadium on Labor Day, Thursday, May 23. The match will commence at 4 o'clock and will be played between a special guest. The event, which was held at the National Stadium, was a resounding success, and over the years, numerous Jamaicans who have contributed to the development of reggae music, both on the island and overseas, have been recognized. And I'm very happy that they have written to me to say that I'm one of those persons to be recognized for my extraordinary work in reggae music. But thank you so much. I'm laughing because it really is an honor, it's just that because it's football and it is sports and so on, and for them to take notice, I think, it's quite unexpected, but I am honored, that you have taken note of that and that you, have named me as one of those persons to be honored this year. So thank you for that, Masters and Celebrities. There's a situation that's unfolding on the continent of Africa that is frightening. I'm not talking about Sudan. Sudan is extremely frightening, but Congo, the DRC is, just apologize for me, please, because obviously, do you have Mr. Kovale online? Oh, no, it's fine. I'm not quite sure. It's frightening to me what's happening in the DRC. I am very, very concerned because it is looking like Rwanda. Remember that Tutsi war that they have covered over with Barbara Green roads and conference centers in Rwanda? It is being played out in the DRC. We have to look closely. Bill Clinton came out and apologized that he didn't pay attention. He was too late. His one regret, he said, is one regret coming out as President of the United States is that he did not pay attention sooner to what was happening in Rwanda. What's happening on the continent of Africa, especially in that area, Rwanda, DRC, Uganda? A lot of this is connected to the minerals, the diamonds, but especially the minerals that they use, the cobalt that they're using for, or coltan that they're using for, to make your telephones, your mobile phones, to help in the 5G technology and the 6G technology, and to make your laptops and your computers, and all of these digital technologies. This is the root cause. The war, if you can call it that, in the Congo. It's insidious because they have used the very same tactics that they used in Rwanda, but this time with the support of Rwanda So Kagame is mixed up in this. Uganda is mixed up in this. But people are dying and babies are being raped. And what's happening in the DRC? Over 6 million have been displaced. Over the time, we have more than that dead. They are raping children. They're used as a weapon of war. The cameras are not necessarily there. The people are not necessarily those who are talking about Palestine and so on. We should talk about Palestine, but we must talk about Congo. Use our phones. Because when we take up a telephone, a mobile phone, we inadvertently becomes complicit in the genocide that's happening in the Congo. I'm very concerned because I'm paying close attention. I have never seen anything like this. Last time I saw something like this, it was in Rwanda. Turned the Congolese people upon themselves, and it's the same people because it's the same land, 1884, they divided Africa, the great scramble for Africa, and they cut up and carve up and cut up and carve up. But Uganda, Rwanda, Congo, DRC, all that area, all of that are the same people. Now, these are the people in the Congo that have now turned upon themselves. What is the Africa Union doing? CARICOM, African organizations, African people. Let us shed some light on what's happening in the Congo. Bring this to the fore, take it from out of the shadows, because it's the worst genocide that's happening in the world now. It's happening in Congo, the DRC, Sudan, and Palestine. Yemen. Too late when we start seeing the images out of the Congo. Let us demand that our governments who are in bed with Paul Kagame take up the phone and call Kagame and say, tell me what is M23 and how are you involved? How are you funding or backing M23? Just ask that one question. The feet of our government to the fire for their continued and ongoing relationship with strongmen in Africa, with those who are presiding over genocide. Preserving endangered, marginalized African cultural heritage will be happening on Sunday, May 26, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. St. Eustatius time, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. New York time. That is what our time began. That is 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. our time. New York is 1 hour ahead, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right, so 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. our time, Jamaica time. University of Virginia specializes in African American, African diaspora, and African history. Associate Professor Dr. Kimani Nehusi of Temple University, Philadelphia, specializing in Africology and African American studies. Dr. Artwell Kane, independent researcher, Aruba cultural anthropologist, and founder of the Institute for Cultural Heritage and Knowledge, and will be hosted by President of the Alliance Mental Health Specialist, Kenneth Kuverley. So this is what we wanted to talk about, but didn't get it. And I've been having a conversation with Big A all week, and from Sunday till Sunday about an album that's not such an old album, not such a new album. I don't know how I never know about the album, but thank you, Big A, for sending me the album. And it is by UB40, and it is UB40. I'm sure Big A is playing this, right, Big A? And talking about this, the UB40 situation. The UB40. Big A, you not play one of the songs, baby? Did you play the songs? UB40. Have you been, not this one, the country and western. The country, the western, Big A. Country album. You play the whole album today?
I'm going to play some songs.
Okay. We can play one of my books. Anyway, so listen, right. So I think the album is, it's beautiful. It's really good. and UB40 outdo themselves. When was the album? How old is the album? Like 2 years? A year?
No, man. The album is probably at least 10 years old.
See them, at least 10 years old. And I was just introduced to it, so thank you so much, Mr. Big A. And, well, he's gonna play, so you listen. And then later on, in the week we were talking about another artist who has been doing some serious covers of dancehall music. And this is something that is phenomenal. Big A, you can grab the mic? Since both of us need to be heard properly. Let me just,
I don't know when it give people the impression that we have had long discussions over the week. Because really and truly, those are the discussions I want to have, but you are so unavailable.
Big A, but we talk.
We so unavailable.
But we have had long discussions. We
certainly speak.
Yes, but
in small doses.
But even then, even when we not speak, we're listening to the music and telepathy.
I guess.
Yes.
I guess since you introduce it.
Because I'm thinking.
All right.
Yes. It's phenomenal though. What UB40 has done with the reggae-rising, their songs
of country.
Of country.
Remember, there was there has been several efforts to reggae-rise country. In fact,
yes,
many artists have done it. Mm-hmm. Notably, people like Josie
Country Road,
who introduced country music into dancehall.
But it's interesting how he did that, though. The story behind that wasn't it when he was?
Oh, when he was shot, it was the colonel who shot the colonel in his back.
Yes.
But even before that,
he
reinterpreted a lot of the gunfighter ballads and stuff.
Oh, true.
Early country and western.
Yes. Even his name, if you look at it. Josie.
Yes. He's big into
he's a country fan.
That aspect. So we have had a history of country and western. In fact, there's a lot of similarity between country and western music and reggae. The storytelling factor that is very big in reggae music is also the big story, the big. You could say the essence of country and western, storytelling.
And I think another thing with country and its relationship with Jamaica is that a lot of our gospel music came out of the country genre. So, we were doing country literally.
Precisely. And in fact, and I tell you something, in addition to that, let me also underscore that by saying a lot of us grew up with country and western as the backdrop to our growing up.
Our life.
The Jim Reeves and the Skeeter Davis were just an integral part of our growing up.
Yeah.
Where parents would not allow us basically.
It is true. Yes, this is so, especially our age group. So the country is a soundtrack of our life, and this is what a lot of, I think millennials probably won't understand that, because even though they grew up with us, the millennials, we were introducing reggae,
right,
in our homes to them.
Right. So they grew up with reggae as the soundtrack.
When we were growing up, reggae was raga in a Christian's home.
No. In any home. In any home, it was not. Yeah. It was not the music of church.
No, it was rag music.
It was
rag music.
It was uncouth.
Yeah, raga. So that I tell people all the time that when Peter Tosh died, I didn't know. I knew that Free Eye died.
Right.
What we knew in our house and cried over is that Free Eye died.
Right, the radio announcer died.
Yeah, so we wept for that. And then, the back now, you might hear somebody come and say, oh, Aliko Marga Rastaman died too. That was Peter Tosh,
Right.
This is how serious the situation was before IRFM in Jamaica. Which I said that straight,
Yes.
Because IRFM really changed that paradigm.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was dragging the country, kicking and screaming into recognize and understanding our own selves in the music.
We took it from the backbench and had it on the choir.
I couldn't say it no better. Moved it from the backbench to the choir. It is true. It is true. And so that country music. So even so, for people like me, you know, so country music is in my DNA. Put it away there. You know, I know everybody. I mean, it just kind of seep in over time because your parents were listening to it. The community are listening to it. You sing it in church. So the music, the gospel music that was considered Christian music in church was country music. If you go outside of that, it's bad music.
For sure.
So if it's on a reggae rhythm, it's
and I'll
simple.
tell you something, you know, what is important about that statement was that a lot of the gospel acts a lot of the country acts that we knew also did gospel.
Exactly.
Like the very same Skeeter
Davis, yes.
There was
and Jim Reeves. I came to the garden of While the Jews
a lot of these very same country and western acts.
Yeah.
So they found a place in our homes, probably because of that, you know, they did gospel.
Yes.
So we can accommodate you, not doing so much gospel on this track, because I know you're coming again somewhere down the road with another gospel album.
Right.
So that is probably.
So, you know.
But Cyrilla, now, you wanted to speak about.
Right, so so there's this other young lady now who was taken, this is now beyond UB40, which has taken reggae-rising country, but she's taken dancehall. What has she done to dancehall? What do you call that kind of music?
It's unique. Well, let us say that how the conversation started. The conversation started with your introducing Shabuzi to me.
Oh, Shabuzi, yeah.
Right, and what Shabuzi has done is
brilliant.
Exceptional. Yeah. Brilliant, if you ask me.
Yeah. Because he took rap and country
and countryized it.
Yeah, countryized it. I mean, brilliantly.
Yeah. And then it reminded me, you know, when you introduced it to me, I was contemplating his work, you know, what he has done, and I remembered that, you know, here is somebody else who has taken one genre, who has reinterpreted the genre and has come up with something beautiful.
Beautiful.
And so
love her.
That is how I remembered
Cyrilla. And you sent me her music, and I'm listening and I'm thinking, wow, you know, her interpretation of dancehall. You know, it's for people who have because it's poetry at the end of the day. Dancehall, the lyrics would represent poetry. And if you don't like the heavy beat, what she has done is to take, because it sounds almost classical in some places. It sounds jazzy, soul and jazzy kind of improvisation. But the lyrics remain the same, and she has reinterpreted the lyrics and may I tell you something, the poetry is raw.
What it signifies to me, among other things, is that the persons who were denouncing dancehall, saying that it can't be covered, it can't be reinterpreted, and it is dead because it has no life after the artist has put it down. I wonder what they're saying now, because that's the same line of argument that rap music faced. And here comes Shabuzi, who has reinterpreted a rap song and basically and make it a country song. And Cyrilla, she has reinterpreted several dancehall acts, including Barrington Levy,
hardcore dancehall too,
including Sean Paul, right, and of course, you know, several other classic reggae songs.
Are you gonna play her today too?
Town.
No, because I'm not playing because my time up. So I'm just saying people can continue listening if they, you know, to hear. People who are going to go to church.
Later on,
we never got church this morning because you keep church when we do church in 2 ways.
But Cyrilla is Trinidadian act who migrated to Japan. And I think that is where she did the bulk of her work.
Yeah.
But
and we can see how she would have tried to do something like that in Japan, because Japan has embraced dancehall more than almost any other Asian country.
And then I understand that she's now in the States. So she's basically a globetrotter, you could say.
Right.
But I'm certainly following her. And
me now
who
too.
Listen to my program will hear me play Cyrilla from time to time, because
me now
it is an act that I find very, very, very interesting.
Yeah. I love this. My mind kind of got to. You remember Mackie Conscious did what is song name again?
Disciplined Child.
Disciplined Child, yes. It's interesting because I said, so Mackie Conscious was onto something because we don't have a lot of dancehall artists or reggae artists going down that kind of soulful kind of path. As well, sometimes you're looking for music to play and you just want to have it a little bit more soulful, like Peter Tosh has done a few, Bob Marley, No Woman to Cry, but more and more as the music evolves, our music, we're hearing less and less of that. Mm-hmm. So that somebody like Cirillo, who has taken the dancehall and done that with it, she has provided people like us who want to play
she
like
needs
myself.
to be marketed properly.
Yeah,
and I think that is just her greatest challenge now, because the talent is all sewn up. Yeah, the talent is all.
I wish with Taurus Riley there. We need the singers to come back in the bit. Want Taurus? Singing. We need the singers to come forward because CJ, we don't want to be playing UB and yeah. Anyway, this is how we say goodbye for today as we make way for the big A inside of the Sunday Sunshine. Biggie, I think I'm going to take this ad for you a little bit early. It's a time signal and it's scheduled for 10:14. Do you want me to take it now? Or you just go reggae in the morning? No, I'm going to just go gospel. So we're going to change that and give me gospel. Okay. All right. So thank you so much for listening and everything. Big A is up next. Then why not play? Something is happening in the studio. The whole thing just got black. All right. So this is how we say goodbye for today. You want me to play UB40 when we come out? Now I play either. Okay, here we go.
The whole year, whether you're ahead or you're behind.
No, that's not UB40. All right, so this is how we say goodbye.